Howdy, folks. Today, we're journeying back to the heart of America's most turbulent era, the Civil War. But we ain't focusing on the usual suspects. No, sir. Today's tale is about a man often overshadowed, yet instrumental in preserving the Union. General Philip Sheridan. He was a force of nature, a whirlwind on the battlefield, feared by his enemies and revered by his men. But who was this fiery Irishman who rose from humble beginnings to the highest ranks of the Union Army? What drove him, shaped him, and ultimately led him to become a legend? Now, some might say, another general? Haven't we heard it all? But trust me, Sheridan's story ain't your grandpappy's history lesson. It's a tale woven with grit, determination, and a healthy dose of that Irish fire. From the battlefields of Shiloh to the Shenandoah Valley, Sheridan's name became synonymous with victory, his tactics revolutionizing warfare and leaving a permanent mark on the art of war. So, buckle up, y'all, as we delve into the life and times of one of the Civil War's most intriguing figures. Picture this: America, 1861. The country is on the brink of a monumental conflict that will forever alter its course. The landscape is dotted with small towns and burgeoning cities, each with its own story, its own hopes and fears. The air is thick with anticipation, as if the very land itself knows that something momentous is about to unfold. The nation's torn in two, brother against brother, over the issue of slavery. Families are divided, friendships shattered, as the country grapples with its conscience. The question of human bondage has reached a boiling point, and there is no turning back. The lines are drawn, and the stage is set for a conflict that will test the very fabric of the nation. The air crackles with tension, thick as the humidity in a Georgia cotton field. Soldiers on both sides prepare for battle, their faces etched with determination and fear. The camps are alive with the sounds of marching feet, clinking weapons, and the murmur of anxious voices. Each soldier knows that the coming days will bring trials and tribulations unlike any they have ever faced. It's a time of great uncertainty, a time when the very soul of a nation hangs in the balance. The battles that lie ahead will be fierce and unforgiving, with each side fighting not just for victory, but for their vision of what America should be. The skies darken with the smoke of cannon fire, and the ground trembles under the weight of marching armies. The future of the nation is anything but certain. In the North, the Union rallies, determined to preserve the nation their forefathers fought so hard to build. They believe in a united country, free from the chains of slavery, where liberty and justice are not just ideals, but realities. The Union soldiers march with a sense of purpose, their flags waving proudly in the wind, symbols of their unwavering resolve. In the South, the Confederacy rises, fueled by a belief in their right to self-determination and a way of life intrinsically tied to the institution of slavery. They see themselves as defenders of their homes and their heritage, willing to fight to the last man to protect their way of life. The Confederate soldiers, too, march with determination, their banners flying high, symbols of their fierce independence. Amidst this maelstrom of ideologies and ambitions, a young Philip Sheridan, a recent graduate of West Point, finds himself thrust into a conflict that will test his mettle and shape his destiny. Sheridan, like many of his peers, is eager to prove himself, to make his mark on history. But he is also acutely aware of the gravity of the situation, the immense responsibility that rests on his shoulders. Every decision he makes could mean the difference between victory and defeat, life and death. The pressure is immense, but so is his resolve. Sheridan knows that he must rise to the occasion, that he must be a leader his men can look up to, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. Little did he know, his journey would take him from obscurity to the annals of American history. He would face countless challenges, endure unimaginable hardships, and witness the horrors of war firsthand. But through it all, he would remain steadfast, his courage and determination unwavering. Sheridan's story is one of resilience, of rising above adversity to achieve greatness. He would become a pivotal player in this epic struggle, a beacon of hope for the Union, and a figure of enduring fascination for generations to come. His leadership and bravery would inspire countless others, and his legacy would be forever etched in the pages of American history. As we look back on this tumultuous time, we remember not just the battles and the bloodshed, but the individuals like Philip Sheridan who rose to the occasion and helped shape the nation we know today. Born in 1831 in Albany, New York, to Irish immigrant parents, Philip Sheridan's early life was far from glamorous. He was a scrappy kid, full of grit and determination, traits that would serve him well in the years to come. Growing up in the rough-and-tumble environment of Somerset, Ohio, he learned the value of hard work, resilience, and never backing down from a challenge. Imagine young Philip navigating the muddy streets, a mischievous glint in his eye, already displaying the tenacity that would one day make him a legend. Now, Somerset wasn't exactly a hotbed of military ambition, but fate, it seems, had other plans for young Sheridan. His path led him to West Point, where he excelled in his studies, demonstrating a keen strategic mind and a natural aptitude for leadership. It was here, amidst the hallowed halls of the prestigious military academy, that the seeds of greatness were sown. Little did anyone know this son of Irish immigrants, this boy from small-town Ohio, would soon rise to become one of the most celebrated military leaders in American history. Philip Henry Sheridan, a name that would echo through the corridors of military history, had a beginning far removed from the grandeur and glory of his later years. His story is one of perseverance, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of a dream that seemed almost unattainable from his humble start. Born on March 6, 1831, his entry into the world was one of humble origins. The small town of Albany, New York, where he was born, was a burgeoning community, filled with the hopes and struggles of many immigrant families like his own. His parents, John and Mary Mina Sheridan, were recent Irish immigrants, seeking a better life on the shores of America. They had left behind the familiar landscapes of County Cavan, Ireland, driven by the promise of opportunity and the hope of a brighter future for their children. They carried with them the hopes and dreams of countless others who had braved the perilous journey across the Atlantic, their hearts filled with a mix of trepidation and anticipation. The voyage was long and arduous, marked by the uncertainty of what lay ahead and the bittersweet farewell to their homeland. John Sheridan, a sturdy man with a strong back and calloused hands, found work as a laborer. He toiled tirelessly, taking on any job that would provide for his family, from laying railroad tracks to working in the burgeoning construction industry. It was honest work, the kind that built a nation brick by brick, road by road. His efforts were part of the larger tapestry of American progress, contributing to the infrastructure that would one day support a growing and thriving nation. Mary, his wife, possessed a quiet strength and unwavering faith. She was the backbone of their small household, managing the daily chores and ensuring that their home was a place of comfort and love. She tended to their small household, her days filled with the endless tasks of motherhood and the ever-present worry of making ends meet. From dawn till dusk, Mary worked diligently, her hands never idle, her heart always full of hope for her children's future. Their lives were simple, their means modest, but within the walls of their home, they nurtured a love for their children that transcended their material circumstances. The Sheridans instilled in their children the values of hard work, integrity, and the belief that with determination, anything was possible. Young Philip, like many children of immigrant families, attended a local school where he showed an early aptitude for learning. His parents, despite their limited means, understood the importance of education and encouraged him to pursue his studies with diligence. Books became his window to the world, offering glimpses of far-off places and the lives of great men who had come before him. He devoured stories of military heroes and historical figures, dreaming of one day making his own mark on the world. The small town of Albany, with its bustling streets and close-knit community, was the backdrop of his formative years. It was here that the seeds of his future greatness were sown, nurtured by the love and sacrifices of his parents and the lessons learned from his humble beginnings. Philip Henry Sheridan's early life was a testament to the enduring spirit of the American dream. From the modest home of an immigrant family, he would rise to become one of the most celebrated military leaders in American history, his journey a beacon of hope and inspiration for generations to come. Now, there's a bit of a mystery surrounding Philip's exact birthplace. This enigma has puzzled historians and enthusiasts alike for generations. Some say he was born in Albany, New York, the bustling port city where his parents first set foot on American soil. Albany, with its vibrant docks and busy streets, was a melting pot of cultures and a gateway to new opportunities for many immigrants. Others believe he was born in County Cavan, Ireland, his family carrying the secret of his true origins with them to the New World. County Cavan, with its rolling green hills and quaint cottages, was a place steeped in tradition and history, a stark contrast to the bustling life they would encounter in America. The truth, shrouded in the mists of time and lost to history, remains elusive. Old documents and records offer conflicting information, leaving us to piece together the puzzle from fragments of the past. But whether he was a son of the Empire State or the Emerald Isle, one thing is certain: America would become the stage upon which he would leave his indelible mark. His contributions to the nation would transcend the mystery of his origins. Regardless of where his cradle was rocked, young Philip's early years were spent in the melting pot of immigrant life. The neighborhoods were teeming with families from all corners of the globe, each bringing their unique customs and traditions. The air would have been filled with the sounds of different languages, a symphony of voices blending together in a cacophony of daily life. Each language carried stories of distant lands and dreams of a better future. The smells of unfamiliar cuisines, tantalizing aromas wafting through the streets, inviting passers-by to taste the flavors of far-off homelands. These scents were a reminder of the diverse origins of the community, a tapestry of cultures woven together by the common threads of hope and hardship. Festivals and gatherings showcased the rich cultural heritage of the immigrants, creating a vibrant mosaic of traditions and celebrations. It was in this vibrant, chaotic environment that Philip's character began to take shape. The bustling streets and diverse community provided a unique backdrop for his formative years. He learned to navigate the complexities of a new world, understanding the nuances of different cultures and the importance of community. These experiences would later influence his worldview and actions, to rely on his wits, developing a keen sense of resourcefulness and adaptability. The challenges he faced in his youth honed his problem-solving skills and strategic thinking, and to stand his ground. In a world where survival often depended on resilience and determination, Philip learned to hold his own, a trait that would serve him well in his future endeavors. In search of opportunity, the Sheridan family moved westward, eventually settling in the small town of Somerset, Ohio. Located in the heart of the young state, Somerset offered a different pace of life from the crowded streets of Albany. Here, amidst the rolling hills and fertile farmland, the Sheridans sought to establish roots and build a future for their growing family. Life wasn't easy for the immigrant family, but they persevered, their spirits unbroken. For young Philip, Somerset was his playground and his classroom. The vastness of the American landscape ignited a sense of adventure within him. He spent his days exploring the surrounding woods, swimming in the clear streams, and testing his limits against the backdrop of nature's grandeur. These formative experiences instilled in him a deep appreciation for the outdoors and a resilience that would serve him well in the years to come. As Philip grew older, the realities of life in frontier America became increasingly apparent. He learned the value of hard work, toiling alongside his father and older brothers. The family scraped by, their days filled with the demands of eking out a living from the land. There was little time for frivolous pursuits, education taking a back seat to the necessities of survival. Despite the lack of formal schooling, Philip possessed a sharp mind and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. He devoured every book he could lay his hands on, his imagination ignited by tales of adventure and heroism. The local library became his sanctuary, a refuge from the hardships of daily life. It was here that he first encountered the stories of great military leaders, their exploits fueling his dreams of a life beyond the confines of Somerset. Fate, it seemed, had other plans for young Philip Sheridan. An opportunity arose, a chance to escape the drudgery of his existence and pursue a path that had always seemed beyond his reach, an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point. Now, how this came to be is a story in itself, shrouded in a bit of local lore and political maneuvering. It's said that Philip's quick wit and even quicker fists caught the attention of a prominent citizen, a storekeeper named Henry W. Stowe, no less than the husband of Harriet Beecher Stowe, the author of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Stowe, recognizing the spark of potential in the young man, used his influence to secure Philip a nomination to the prestigious academy. And so, in 1848, at the tender age of 17, Philip Sheridan bid farewell to his family and the familiar comforts of Somerset, embarking on a journey that would forever alter the course of his life. Arriving at West Point, perched majestically above the Hudson River, must have been a daunting experience for the young man from rural Ohio. The imposing granite buildings, the strict discipline, the air thick with the weight of tradition. It was a world away from everything Philip had ever known. Yet he met the challenge head-on, his determination fueled by an unwavering belief in himself and the opportunity that lay before him. West Point in those days was a crucible for forging leaders. The curriculum was rigorous, demanding both physical and intellectual prowess. Philip excelled in his studies, demonstrating a natural aptitude for mathematics, strategy, and military tactics. He soaked up knowledge like a sponge, his mind sharp, his ambition burning bright. Life at West Point wasn't all about textbooks and drills, however. Philip's fiery temper and unwavering sense of justice occasionally landed him in hot water with his superiors. He had a knack for speaking his mind, even when it was advisable to hold his tongue. One particular incident, involving a heated altercation with a fellow cadet, nearly resulted in his expulsion, but even his detractors couldn't deny his abilities. He possessed a natural charisma, a way of inspiring those around him. On the parade ground, he commanded attention, his movements precise, his bearing confident. In the classroom, he impressed his professors with his sharp intellect and insightful observations. And on the fields of friendly competition, he displayed a fierce determination to succeed, whether it was on the football field or the dueling ground. The years at West Point molded Philip Sheridan into a formidable soldier, honing his natural abilities and instilling in him the values of discipline, honor, and duty. As graduation approached, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. The young men, now seasoned cadets, stood on the precipice of their destinies, ready to embark on careers that would shape the future of a nation on the brink of war. Little did Philip Sheridan know, as he received his commission as a brevet second lieutenant in the United States Army in 1853, that he would soon be called upon to lead men in battle, his name forever etched in the annals of American military history. The lessons learned on the banks of the Hudson, the friendships forged, the challenges overcome, they had all prepared him for the momentous events that lay ahead. The year was 1861. The fragile peace that had held the nation together for decades finally shattered. Fort Sumter, a lonely bastion of Union authority in the heart of Charleston Harbor, came under Confederate bombardment. The unimaginable had happened. America was at war with itself. News of the conflict reached Philip Sheridan, stationed at the time on the distant frontier. The young officer, eager to prove himself, found himself swept up in the maelstrom, his destiny forever intertwined with the fate of his nation. Gone were the familiar rhythms of garrison life, replaced by the urgent preparations for war. Sheridan, like countless other soldiers on both sides of the conflict, found himself thrust into a world turned upside down. The neatly drawn lines on maps now represented battlefields, places where lives would be lost and destinies decided. The young lieutenant, his West Point training put to the ultimate test, embraced the challenges ahead with a mix of apprehension and resolve. Sheridan's early experiences in the war were a baptism by fire. Assigned to the 13th Infantry Regiment, he found himself thrust into the thick of the fighting in Missouri, a border state racked by internal divisions and guerrilla warfare. The reality of combat, far removed from the sanitized maneuvers of West Point, proved to be a harsh teacher. He witnessed firsthand the horrors of battle, the courage and sacrifice of ordinary men, and the fickle hand of fate that determined who lived and who died. Through a series of small engagements and skirmishes, Sheridan honed his skills as a commander. He learned the importance of quick thinking, decisive action, and the ability to inspire men under fire. His natural leadership qualities, evident even in his days at West Point, shone through. He earned the respect of his men, not through bluster or bravado, but through his unwavering courage and his willingness to share their hardships. While Sheridan proved himself a capable infantry officer, fate had other plans for him. A chance encounter with General Henry W. Halleck, commander of the Department of the Missouri, would forever alter the course of his career. Halleck, recognizing Sheridan's logistical acumen and his keen understanding of terrain, offered him a position as chief quartermaster of the Army of Southwest Missouri. It was a crucial role, responsible for supplying the Army's needs, but one that many viewed as a backwater assignment. Sheridan, however, approached the task with his characteristic zeal. He excelled in the role, ensuring that supplies flowed smoothly to the front lines, a vital factor in any military campaign. But his heart yearned for the heat of battle, for the opportunity to lead men in combat. His prayers were answered when he was given command of the 2nd Michigan Cavalry, a regiment known for its fighting spirit but in desperate need of discipline and direction. The 2nd Michigan Cavalry, under Sheridan's command, quickly distinguished itself in battle. Sheridan, despite his short stature, he was only 5'5", earning him the nickname Little Phil, possessed a commanding presence and a natural ability to inspire his men. He led from the front, his courage under fire unquestioned. He understood the importance of speed and maneuverability in cavalry operations, utilizing his horsemen to disrupt enemy supply lines, gather intelligence, and harass Confederate forces. His successes on the battlefield did not go unnoticed. Promotions came quickly, from captain to colonel to brigadier general in the span of just a few short years. Sheridan's star was on the rise, his name becoming synonymous with victory, particularly in the Western theater of the war. He had found his true calling as a cavalry commander, his skills perfectly suited for the fast-paced, fluid nature of mounted warfare. The Battle of Shiloh, fought in southwestern Tennessee in April 1862, was a pivotal moment in the war, a bloody clash that shocked the nation with its ferocity and high casualties. Sheridan, now a brigadier general, commanded a division in the Army of the Tennessee, led by the flamboyant General Ulysses S. Grant. The battle tested Sheridan's mettle like never before, as wave after wave of Confederate attacks threatened to overwhelm the Union lines. Despite being caught off guard on the first day of the battle, Sheridan's division held its ground, their stubborn resistance buying valuable time for Union reinforcements to arrive. Sheridan, in the thick of the fighting, displayed remarkable coolness under fire, rallying his men and directing their movements with a calmness that belied the chaos swirling around him. Shiloh, for all its horrors, solidified Sheridan's reputation as a rising star in the Union Army. Following the costly Union victory at Shiloh, the war in the West shifted to Kentucky, where Confederate forces under General Braxton Bragg sought to reclaim the Bluegrass State for the Confederacy. Sheridan, now a trusted commander under General Don Carlos Buell, played a key role in the Battle of Perryville, a hard-fought engagement that halted the Confederate advance. Sheridan's division, positioned on the Union left, bore the brunt of the Confederate assault. His men fought with tenacity, their lines holding firm against repeated attacks. Sheridan, ever the aggressive commander, seized an opportunity to counterattack, driving the Confederates back and securing a crucial victory for the Union. Perryville, while not as well known as other Civil War battles, proved to be a turning point in the Western theater. As 1862 drew to a close, the war in the West raged on. The Battle of Stones River, fought near Murfreesboro, Tennessee, would prove to be one of the bloodiest engagements of the war. Sheridan, now commanding a division in the Army of the Cumberland under General William Rosecrans, once again found himself at the center of the storm. The battle raged for 3 days, a brutal back-and-forth struggle that tested the limits of human endurance. Sheridan's division, positioned on the Union right, fought with their usual ferocity. On the second day of the battle, Sheridan's lines were shattered by a massive Confederate assault. Undeterred, Sheridan rallied his men, reforming his shattered division and mounting a desperate defense that helped to save the Union Army from disaster. Following the carnage of Stones River, both sides licked their wounds and regrouped. The spring of 1863 saw a shift in the war's tempo in the West, as Union forces under General Rosecrans launched the Tullahoma Campaign, a brilliant display of strategic maneuver that drove the Confederates from Middle Tennessee. Sheridan's division, now part of the Army of the Cumberland's 14th Corps, played a crucial role in the campaign. Sheridan, applying the lessons he had learned in earlier battles, utilized his cavalry to great effect, screening Rosecrans' movements, gathering intelligence, and harassing the retreating Confederates. The Tullahoma Campaign, while not as well known as other Civil War campaigns, demonstrated Sheridan's growing strategic acumen. The summer of 1863 witnessed one of the most significant battles in the Western theater, the Battle of Chickamauga. Fought near Chattanooga, Tennessee, Chickamauga was a Confederate victory, but one that came at a terrible cost. Sheridan, now a trusted Corps commander, played a pivotal role in the battle, his actions on the second day of the fighting helping to avert a complete Union disaster. The battle began with a series of Confederate attacks against the Union left flank. As the fighting raged, Rosecrans, in an attempt to shore up his left, inadvertently created a gap in the Union center. Confederate forces poured through the gap, routing several Union divisions and threatening to split the Union Army in two. Sheridan, recognizing the gravity of the situation, launched a desperate counterattack, his men smashing into the advancing Confederates and buying precious time for the beleaguered Union Army to regroup. Despite Sheridan's heroic efforts at Chickamauga, the Union Army was forced to retreat to Chattanooga, where they found themselves besieged by Confederate forces under General Braxton Bragg. The situation for the Union forces looked dire, their supply lines cut, their morale low. It was at this critical juncture that Sheridan's leadership and determination would once again shine through in what would become known as Sheridan's Ride. With Union forces pinned down on Missionary Ridge, their position seemingly untenable, Grant, now in overall command, ordered a limited attack to relieve pressure on the Union center. Sheridan, misinterpreting Grant's orders, or perhaps sensing an opportunity, ordered his men forward in a full-scale assault. Up the slopes of Missionary Ridge they charged, Sheridan, as always, leading from the front. The Confederates, caught off guard by the ferocity of the Union assault, broke and ran, their lines collapsing in disarray. Now, y'all know Sheridan as a fierce warrior, a whirlwind on the battlefield. But even the toughest soldier, deep down, yearns for a haven, a heart's ease from the storms of war. Imagine this: the constant clang of sabers, the earth trembling under cannon fire, the ever-present specter of death. In the midst of such chaos, finding love seems like a far-off dream. But for Philip Sheridan, fate, it seems, had a plan. Despite his rough-hewn exterior and the demands of his military career, Sheridan possessed a charm that drew people to him, a certain magnetism that transcended his gruff demeanor. He was known for his quick wit, his hearty laugh, and his genuine concern for the well-being of his men. Beneath the hardened exterior of the battle-tested general beat the heart of a man longing for companionship, for a love to anchor him amidst the uncertainty of war. Enter Irene Rucker, a young woman whose life couldn't have been more different from the whirlwind of battles and campaigns that consumed Sheridan's world. Hailing from a prominent Virginia family, Irene represented the genteel South, her upbringing a stark contrast to Sheridan's humble beginnings. Yet despite their differences in background and upbringing, a spark ignited between them, a connection that transcended the political and social divides of their time. Irene was known for her beauty, her intelligence, and her unwavering spirit. She possessed a quiet strength, a resilience forged in the crucible of a nation at war. While Sheridan faced the enemy on distant battlefields, Irene navigated the challenges of life on the home front, her heart heavy with worry for the safety of loved ones caught in the conflict. Now, their courtship wasn't your typical love story, not with a war raging and all. Imagine stolen moments amidst the chaos, letters filled with longing and whispered promises. They met while Sheridan was stationed in Washington, D.C., a city teeming with political intrigue and the anxieties of a nation on edge. For them, it was a sanctuary, a place where they could steal precious moments away from the tumult of war. Their courtship, carried out against the backdrop of a nation divided, raised eyebrows on both sides of the conflict. Here was a Union general, a rising star in the North's fight against the Confederacy, smitten with a Southern belle, a daughter of the very society he was sworn to defeat. Yet, love, as they say, conquers all. And in June of 1875, after a courtship that weathered the storms of war and the disapproval of some, Philip Sheridan and Irene Rucker exchanged vows, their union a testament to the enduring power of love in the face of adversity. Their early years of marriage were marked by the separations and uncertainties of war. Sheridan, ever the dedicated soldier, spent long periods away from his bride, leading his troops in campaigns that took him from the Shenandoah Valley to the Carolinas. Yet their love endured, sustained by a shared faith, a deep respect for one another, and a constant stream of letters that bridged the physical distance between them. These letters, often written by the light of a flickering candle after a long day of battle or amidst the bustle of camp life, offer a glimpse into the private world of Philip and Irene Sheridan. They are filled with expressions of love and longing, anxieties about the war, and hopes for a future when they could build a life together, free from the shadow of conflict. With the war's end in 1865, Sheridan, now a hero of the Union, finally had the opportunity to build a life with his beloved Irene. They settled in Chicago, a city on the rise, its energy and optimism a reflection of the nation's hopes for a brighter future. Sheridan, his military career far from over, embraced his role as a husband and father, finding solace in the warmth of family life. Their Chicago home became their sanctuary, a place where they entertained friends and colleagues, their laughter and conversations a stark contrast to the horrors of war they had witnessed. Sheridan, despite his gruff exterior, was known for his warmth and generosity as a host. His love for Irene evident in the way he doted on her, his eyes twinkling with pride whenever she entered the room. The Sheridan household was blessed with the arrival of 4 children: Mary, Philip Henry Jr., Irene, and Philip. These children, born into a nation still healing from the wounds of war, became the center of Philip and Irene's world. Sheridan, known for his stern demeanor on the battlefield, was a doting father, his love for his children evident in the way he played with them, read to them, and instilled in them the values of honor, integrity, and perseverance. The Sheridan children grew up surrounded by the legacy of their father's military accomplishments. Stories of his exploits on the battlefield filled their childhood, shaping their understanding of courage, sacrifice, and the complexities of American history. They carried the weight of their family name with grace and humility, their lives a testament to the enduring bonds of love and family that transcended the tumultuous times in which they lived. The post-war years were a time of healing and rebuilding for the nation. But they were not without their challenges. The scars of war ran deep, and the process of reconciliation was fraught with tension and uncertainty. Sheridan, despite his role in the Union victory, approached the challenges of Reconstruction with a sense of pragmatism and a deep respect for the South and its people. He understood that true peace required more than just military victory. It required compassion, understanding, and a willingness to bridge the divides that had torn the nation apart. His marriage to Irene, a symbol of unity in a nation still grappling with the legacy of division, served as a testament to his belief in the power of reconciliation. Philip Sheridan's life, from his humble beginnings in Ohio to his rise through the ranks of the Union Army, is a testament to the power of determination, courage, and unwavering resolve. But it is his love story with Irene Rucker that reveals the depths of his character, his capacity for tenderness, and the importance of family in a life often defined by conflict and sacrifice. Their love story, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness of war, reminds us that even in the most challenging of times, love has the power to unite, to heal, and to endure. Philip and Irene's legacy lives on, not just in the history books, but in the countless lives touched by their story, a testament to the enduring power of love, family, and the human spirit's ability to find light in the darkest of times. August 5th, 1888. A somber day descended upon the nation. General Philip Henry Sheridan, the fiery Irishman who had risen from obscurity to become one of the most celebrated and controversial figures of the Civil War, drew his last breath. He was 57 years old. News of his passing spread like wildfire, carried on telegraph wires and whispered from town to town. Across the country, flags flew at half-mast, a visible symbol of the nation's grief. Newspapers north and south paid tribute to the fallen general, their words reflecting a mix of admiration for his military genius and acknowledgement of the complex legacy he left behind. Even his former adversaries, those who had faced him across the battlefields of Virginia and the Shenandoah, expressed their respect for the man they had once considered their most formidable foe. Sheridan's passing was met with an outpouring of grief befitting a national hero. His funeral, held in Washington, D.C., was a grand affair, a solemn procession of dignitaries, military leaders, and ordinary citizens come to pay their respects. The streets were lined with mourners, their heads bowed in silent tribute as the horse-drawn caisson carrying Sheridan's flag-draped coffin made its way to his final resting place. He was laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery, high on a hill overlooking the capital city he had fought to defend. His tombstone, a simple yet imposing granite monument, bears the inscription, Philip Henry Sheridan, Lieutenant General, United States Army. Now, most folks remember Sheridan for his Civil War exploits, and rightfully so. But his story ain't confined to those tumultuous years. After the war, he played a pivotal role in shaping the destiny of the American West. In 1867, he was appointed commander of the Department of the Missouri, a vast territory encompassing much of the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountains. His mission to subdue the Native American tribes who had long resisted the encroachment of white settlers. It was a controversial chapter in Sheridan's career, one marked by conflict and bloodshed. He led campaigns against the Cheyenne, the Sioux, and the Arapaho. His tactics often characterized by brutality and a scorched earth approach. His actions, while effective in quelling Native American resistance, remain a subject of debate to this day, a stark reminder of the complex and often tragic history of the American West. Now, despite his reputation as a warrior, Sheridan possessed a deep appreciation for the beauty and grandeur of the American landscape. He was an avid outdoorsman, a keen observer of nature, and a strong advocate for the preservation of wilderness areas. In fact, he played a pivotal role in the establishment of Yellowstone National Park, the world's first national park, in 1872. Sheridan, recognizing the importance of protecting these natural wonders for future generations, advocated for the creation of a system of national parks, a vision that would eventually lead to the establishment of the National Park Service in 1916. It's one of those ironic twists of history, ain't it? The general who waged war against Native Americans and their way of life also helped to preserve some of the most breathtaking landscapes in the American West. So, what's the legacy of Philip Henry Sheridan? It's a complex question, one with no easy answers. He was a man of contradictions, a brilliant military strategist who wasn't afraid to resort to ruthless tactics. He was a champion of national unity who also played a role in the subjugation of Native Americans. He was a man who embodied both the triumphs and the tragedies of his time. One thing's for sure, Sheridan's impact on American history is undeniable. His name is etched in the annals of military history, his tactics studied in war colleges to this day. His story, from his humble beginnings to his rise to prominence, continues to fascinate and inspire, a reminder that even amidst the chaos of war, individuals can make a difference, for better or for worse. Now, we can't talk about Sheridan's legacy without addressing the elephant in the room, the controversy surrounding some of his actions. His scorched earth tactics in the Shenandoah Valley, while effective in breaking the back of Confederate resistance, earned him the label, the Burner, and sparked accusations of war crimes. Similarly, his campaigns against Native Americans in the West were marked by brutality and displacement, actions that continue to be condemned by many. These are difficult aspects of Sheridan's story, ones that challenge our perceptions of heroism and the complexities of war. There's no easy way to reconcile these actions with his other accomplishments. It's up to each of us to grapple with these complexities, to acknowledge the full scope of his legacy, and to engage in thoughtful discussion about the ethical dilemmas faced by military leaders throughout history. Sheridan, like all military leaders, faced impossible choices, decisions made under the immense pressure of war. He believed, rightly or wrongly, that his actions were necessary to achieve victory, to preserve the Union, and to secure peace. But we must also acknowledge the human cost of those decisions, the suffering inflicted on civilians caught in the crossfire, and the long-lasting consequences of his actions on Native American communities. It's easy to judge the past through the lens of our own values and perspectives. But to truly understand Sheridan, we must try to see the world through his eyes, to comprehend the weight of the decisions he faced, and to grapple with the enduring question of whether the ends justify the means, especially in the crucible of war. Despite the controversies, Sheridan remains a potent symbol of Union victory, his name forever linked to the preservation of the United States. His statue stands proudly in Washington, D.C., a testament to his service and a reminder of the sacrifices made to hold the nation together. His story, for all its complexities, is woven into the fabric of American history, a reminder of the enduring power of determination, resilience, and the human capacity for both great good and great harm. It's important to remember that history ain't just about dates and battles. It's about people, their choices, and the impact of those choices on the world around them. Sheridan's life, for all its complexities, offers a window into a pivotal period in American history, a time of great upheaval and transformation. Beyond the battles and the controversies, Sheridan's life offers valuable lessons in leadership. He rose from humble beginnings, proving that determination and hard work can overcome even the most daunting obstacles. He inspired his men with his courage under fire, his willingness to share their hardships, and his unwavering belief in their ability to achieve victory. And he left behind a legacy of service, a reminder that true leadership requires more than just ambition. It demands a commitment to something larger than oneself. These qualities, while tested in the crucible of war, remain relevant today, applicable to all walks of life.